Hello, good afternoon, Facebook, good afternoon, IG. Let me get IG on here. Yes. Hi. How you guys doing out there on this lovely Tuesday afternoon, second day of March, 2021. How are you guys doing out there? Elaine Proby here, CEO of PROBY'S Tax and Accounting, and we're back again with a weekly live information for you guys. I want you guys to get pen and paper and, make some notes of this stuff, right? Make some notes of this stuff so you can go back to it. Today, we want to talk about when is it a good time for you to hire a professional accountant to do your taxes. And a lot of people have questions about this. So I just wanted to point out to you guys today, when is a good time, give you all some pointers to help you make that decision. We're right here at the top of March, and there's about 6 more weeks so far, as we know so far, in filing your taxes, okay? So, anyway, so today is when is it worth hiring an accountant to do your taxes? So Elaine Proby, CEO of PROBY'S Tax and Accounting. I want to thank for jumping on here. Select Malcolm. Thank you. All right, so let's jump into the first reason when should you hire an accountant. Now, it's about 80 million people who have hired a professional accountant. And then there's maybe another 60 or 70 million folks who have done the taxes themselves. And it is, if you have a simple tax return, let's say you just have a W-2 and, a couple of, maybe a couple of 1099s, right? Or other income and a W-2, for instance, maybe a dependent or two, maybe no dependent. You can just get one of those software or get, just go on a website somewhere and you can file your own taxes. And a lot of times there's a lot of people who have done that. And sometimes if you have a little bit more complex tax returns, sometimes people will, take the time out to do it. But one of the saying goes is if you have the time to do it and you understand what you're doing, then you can go ahead and file your own taxes. However, there are some other reasons why you really should consider hiring a professional person, right? So let's start with one of the most common. If you are self-employed, let's say you're self-employed, you get a 1099. You may be a gig worker, an independent freelance person, let's say a driver, Uber driver, or anyone who have independently worked and got a 1099 form from anyone that you have worked for. And by the way, they have to issue you a 1099 form if you made more than $600 anywhere with a person as a self-employed individual. If you have a 1099 form, guys, this is monies that have been paid to you without any taxes taken out. Now you're considered self-employed, you're running a business, you're operating a business. There are some deductions there that you might want to consider a professional accountant to find for you so you're not paying any more taxes than you have to. So the key here is to earn money and pay as least taxes as possible. So if you're independent, if you're a self-employed person and you feel like you're not really savvy about all of the deductions that you're entitled to, all of the credits that you're entitled to, that's when you want to make sure that you hire a professional person to get you all the deductions and write off everything that you can, so your taxable income is not going to be as much as you would have paid if you have done it yourself, because some of the Some of the deductions that, you can write off as a self-employed person. A lot of times I have clients who come in all the time, right? And they're not, they may be running a business for a few years, but they're not even aware of some of the things that they can write off. And so it doesn't matter how many years you do the taxes, there's still certain things that people miss. A lot of deductions people miss. Okay, so when is a good time to hire an accountant to do your taxes? The first point today, guys, is if you own a business or if you're self-employed. And the key here is making sure that you have the deductions and the write-off and the credits, right? And to strategize so that you pay less taxes, because there's certain things you may need to do. You may need to determine whether you should form a new entity, whether you should incorporate it. All this stuff will come upon looking at your taxes from a professional standpoint. Look at your business and see if this is a good point, a good place, a good time for you to maybe create an entity, form a corporation or something else. Okay. So not only do they do your taxes, for instance, the way we do them here at PROBY'S, we advise you in the meantime, so you are operating in the right structure and you're getting all the best deductions that you possibly can. All right. So that's my first point today, guys. When should you hire an accountant to do your tax return? The second point today, if you own rental property, you might want to hire an accountant to do your taxes, right? Because rental properties, you have to claim your income. Sometimes you have income that is coming through maybe a housing authority situation. That's income that's coming through to you if you have a rental property, say on a Section 8 here in California, and you may get help with that. So in the meantime, you have rental income, and then there's a lot of expense deductions. See, now this is where a lot of people go around. There's expense deduction if you have auto expenses, mileage going from your house to the rental properties, from one rental property to the other property. A lot of people miss these deductions simply because they're not aware of all these deductions when they do their own taxes, right? So you have the auto expenses you can take. There's housing association license, things like that you can take. Professional fees and rental properties, right? Professional fees, you may have to get some advice from someone, right? And so all this stuff is a deduction, guys. Association dues, all this stuff. But let me tell you a story about the best deduction on rental property. So, I had a client for years. I had recently just got this client, but for years his taxes was getting done someplace, and he owns a lot of rental property, right? And so he had been paying taxes on other income, even though he has this rental property and with income and expenses deduction. So when I got his tax returns and reviewed the previous taxes, I realized that they were not writing off the depreciation on these rental properties. They were not taking depreciation. This is an expense that a lot of people miss. And if you are not a professional, you might not be aware that you can write off depreciation on these rental properties. So ultimately, I went back and did depreciation on his rental properties, hundreds of thousands of dollars, guys. And those deductions and that loss on that property have been rolling over for the last few years, and he is not paying taxes, offsetting his rental income, and he's not paying taxes on any rental income because of the depreciation write-off that was never taken from the time he owned these properties. Okay, so one reason, another big reason, the depreciation on your rental property. All right, so you guys, that's one point in rental property. And another thing about rental property I want you guys to understand is sometimes as an individual, you may own so much rental property that it might be time for you to move it into a separate entity. And so this is where a professional comes in. So you may be losing deduction because there's a limitation in how much you can write off as an individual. And the more rental property you have, the more deduction you have, the more losses you would be showing. And you may not be able to take that stuff if you keep all your rental property on your personal taxes. So a professional will come in and say, look, maybe you need to take all your rental property off your personal, and you may want to put them in an LLC or put them in another entity so you can take more advantage of the deduction. Another great reason, guys, why you should hire a professional to do your taxes. Those are points. Again, you can do your taxes yourself. It's fairly simple. When it gets a little bit more complex, you want to make sure that you take advantage of all your deductions and all your credits. So that's when it's time to hire a professional. All right. So thank you guys for jumping on here. Hi, Cliff. Thanks. It's good to see you. Hello, hello. All right. So hi, Diamond. Good to see you, Diamond Cole. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for jumping on. Today, we're talking about when is a good time for you guys to hire a professional to do your taxes. Again, there's a lot of software out there you can get online and you can do the stuff. You can do it for free, but you may be leaving a lot of money on the table. Okay, so let's talk about the third point here today that I want to talk about, why you should hire one. Let's say your family situation changes. Maybe you get married. All right, so now you have another person's income. So you have the merging of the income. You have the merging of the assets. You even have the merging of the dependents sometimes, right? Sometimes you got merging of income, assets, dependents. So there's a lot of things that happen once you get married. Now, it's not just you as a single person and one W-2. It could be several other people involved now in these taxes. It could be investment in these taxes. There's a lot more. So if your family situation changes, guys, it's a good time for you to hire a professional tax person, accountant to do your taxes, right? You may be buying a house or have already, owned a house. Maybe both spouses own a house. There's decisions that have to be made. Maybe should we live in one house and sell the other, or should we rent one house? All the decisions that have to be made when your family situation changes, right? And even if you didn't get married, you may have adopted a dependent, right? You may have a dependent that's come and stay with you. So all that makes a difference, guys. Sometimes if it's an adoption situation, sometimes you get money for having adopted kids. People are concerned, am I paying taxes on these dollars? How is it affecting me? This is time to get a professional to help you out with these decisions, guys. So make sure you're doing the right thing. Make sure you're filing your taxes correctly, and make sure that you don't pay any more taxes than you should, right? So that's the deal about family situation changes. And then, of course, then you have the dependents leaving. You have the dependents leaving of age. They're filing their own taxes. And a lot of times, I have clients come in all the time. This is a good one. I have clients come in, and they said, my dependent who is in college right now, right? They did some part-time job at the library at school or whatever it is. And now, should they file their own taxes, or can I still claim them? This is a question I get from clients all the time, because the kids are now growing up. They're in college, and some of them wants to work and make their own income. And some of them are still, of course, not making enough income. And you want to know if you should claim them. Now, there's a lot that could be lost. All the dependents credit, right? Earned income credit for that dependent, education credit for that depending on the income. So there's a lot of reasons why your dependent may not be, should not file their own taxes and claim themselves. They can file but not claim themselves. So these decisions, these are serious, important stuff. These are credits, guys. This is a lot of money that you could leave on the table if you try to do your taxes yourself and you're not aware of the effects of these things, right? So I have clients who have lost thousands and thousands of dollars in credits because their dependent filed their own taxes and they're not able to claim them. They lose out on the education credit. They lose out on the earned income credit, and the dependent file their own taxes and maybe get $500 or $1,000 back, while the parents are losing $3,000 and $4,000, right? So, guys, again, today we're talking about when is a good time for you to hire a professional accountant to do your taxes, and we're pointing out 5 different reasons why you should. Okay, so that's reason number 4. Okay, so let's go on to the 5th reason here. I wanted to discuss. Let's see, number 4. Yeah, let's go on to the 5th reason. This is about if you receive an inheritance. Now, a lot of people get this confused, whether the estate is paying taxes. If someone dies and leave you assets, cash, a lot of people get confused and they think that, okay, the estate is paying taxes and all this stuff, I shouldn't worry about it. Some people don't know that there are states that charges you an inheritance taxes on your assets and cash that you get from an estate if someone dies and leave it to you. You have to pay taxes on that money. So a lot of times people are not aware of that stuff, so they can get into a whole lot of trouble by not filing and paying taxes on their inheritance. Okay, so that's another reason, guys. If you're in one of those situations, it's easy to go online and get you a software to file your taxes, but you may not want to do that simply because you will wind up leaving a lot of money on the table. Okay, so all right, so let's see. Let's go recap my 5 reasons. I don't know if I told you all 5. I may have told you 4, so we might be missing one. Let's see. We're missing one. There's a 3rd one. Okay, the one about earning high income. Yeah, I did miss that one. Okay, I love this topic right here. Another reason Right. So a lot of people have, they're in the high earning income bracket, and you could even be in the lower bracket. But what I want to talk about in this segment is there's a lot of people who are involved with, say they're buying stocks. A lot of people buying stocks and bonds, like, oh, they have all these exchanges going, right? All these sales and exchange of assets. They may have sold capital assets. You may have sold, let's say, a piece of real estate. And a lot of times you hear about, oh my God, there's capital gains taxes, and everyone is concerned about the capital gains taxes, and they're worried about it, and that tax bracket, guys, that tax rate is lower than your personal tax rate in most cases. But anyway, it's a little scary for most people. Paying taxes on the gain on any asset that they sold, capital assets. And then, of course, again, with the sales of the stocks, I wanted to say something to you guys. I have clients who have come in with all of these papers that they have done, they stock trade. It might be on E-Trade, it might be on all this stuff, and it looks like they have made thousands of dollars from investing money, right? But there is a cost when you buy it, and then there's the selling price, and then there's a cost price, and then there's a selling price. So you can have, I've seen hundreds of transactions, and at the end of those transactions, you wind up with a loss, right? So it's so important to make sure that you are aware of how you record these purchases and sale of these stocks and this trade that you do, guys, so that if you don't have the cost right, or you're not reading that information right, again, you can maybe show a profit on buying stocks or selling stocks that you never even earn, and paying taxes on that stuff. So this is the reason why, another reason why you want to hire a professional person to do your taxes when it gets to this, okay? Again, buying and selling stocks, guys, there's capital loss write-off. There's only a limitation on that based on your income, based on your high earning income. There's a limitation on your capital losses if you're buying and selling stocks or selling any other capital assets and made money on it, right? And it's like a $3,000 maximum. And that's what it is that you can write off, and that carries over from 1 year to the next. So it's important to make sure that your taxes are done right, so that this information is in your profile and it carries over from 1 year to the next. All right. So now I think I've covered 5 of those, guys. Elaine Proby here, CEO, PROBY'S Tax and Accountant. And the key here, guys, is when is it a good time? When is it a good time to hire a professional accountant to do your taxes? Okay. So let's recap. All right, my first point today is, now, whether you own a business or self-employed, lots of deductions that you don't want to miss. All right, lots of deductions you don't want to miss. And then you need to know what's income. What's income? So how to claim your income and deductions, guys. That's number 1. All right, so point number 2 is, if you own rental property. All right, rental property, how to record those income monies that you get from, let's say, a housing authority, and making sure you write off all your deductions, especially your depreciation and all the expenses from visiting those rental properties, guys. A lot of times we miss those deductions all the time, right? So that's number 2. And number 3 is the one I just did last. Number 3 is high earners. A lot of times you are involved in stock trade or buying and selling capital assets. And that's any type of capital assets, but most of it is, a lot of people does the stocks, and we want to make sure that you are able to report that correctly on your income taxes, guys. And so, and the 4th item is family situation changes, and this happens all the time. Dependents come in, but dependents growing up, leaving, getting married, buying a house. Whether you should sell the house when 2 people get together, sell one, rent one. I have a client all the time that's calling because one minute they're renting one property, and then they are selling it, and then they're living in the other. And, sometimes they want to switch because they made the wrong decision. They should have been in the other house. And, or should we not have it as a rental property? What should we do with it? And so, or should we sell it, and reinvest in something else? There's all these questions when your family situation changes, right? And then you may acquire a dependent along the way, right? You may acquire a dependent, or you have dependents that leave and work and file their own taxes. So all this stuff is another reason. And the last one is an inheritance. If you receive an inheritance, some state inheritance taxes, guys, you don't want to forget this. So there's like double whammy in some of the states, not all states, but some states you have to pay inheritance taxes on assets that you inherit. if someone dies and leave it for you. All right. So that's it. So my 5 reason for hiring a professional person, guys. And of course, you know, it doesn't have to be a CPA. There's a lot of certified professional tax accountants that's around. You can go to any professional to make sure that they get your taxes right. They're certified, a lot of tax certified folks. As long as it saves you time, it saves you stress, it saves you money, and most of all, the deductions and the credits that you're not aware of. Here at PROBY'S, Elaine, PROBY'S CEO, PROBY'S Tax and Accounting. Here at PROBY'S, we can assist you guys if you have any questions, if you have any concern whether or not you should hire an accountant, or people call me all the time and they ask me, is this something that I could do by myself or not? And I'm honest with you, if I feel that it's a tax return, that if you would like to try to do it, I tell clients all the time, I said, you can give it a shot. I said, you can go and try to do it yourself. And if you have any problems, just let us know and we'll be here to help you with it. All right. So guys, call us here at PROBY'S Tax and Accounting, 323-290-9034, and or visit our website at probiztax.com. We have a secure website. You can upload all your information. You can get your taxes prepared. You don't even have to leave your home. So there's no reason not to get your taxes done. All right. So that is what my 5 reasons is today. And with that said, we'll be out of here. Guys, come back and join us on Thursday. And we'll be back with some more information for you Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. right back here at PROBY'S Tax and Accounting. Okay. So you guys, it's still COVID. I want everybody to still make sure that they follow instructions, right? So we can get out of COVID. We're all trying to get on the other side of COVID. We want to make sure, of course, you guys file your taxes on time so you can get your money up front, get it early, get your cash flow going, all right? Invest, accumulate wealth, put more money in your pocket, right? That's what we're here for, accumulate wealth. So you guys hit like and share. You guys make sure that you sign up for a notification, go to our YouTube channel, and subscribe, sign up for notifications so that you guys can know when we go live, bringing all this free information to you. And at this time, I will be out of here. Again, you guys take care of each other and take care of yourself. All right. See y'all on Thursday.